James Turner wasn't just any CEO. He was the founder of Turner Auto Works, one of the fastest-growing garage chains across the United States. From glossy boardrooms in New York to sleek car showrooms in LA, his business had become a brand. But lately, something had been bothering him. A series of anonymous employee complaints had started pouring in about outdated tools, ignored maintenance, and dangerous work conditions in some of his branches. His team brushed them off as exaggerated. But James felt something deeper was wrong, so one early Monday morning he made a decision. No camera crew, no assistants, no press, just a grey hoodie, a pair of worn jeans and grease-stained gloves. James was heading undercover to one of the busiest garages in his company, the Chicago South Side branch, known for high output and low turnover. He introduced himself as Jim, a temp worker helping for the week. The garage was a storm of noise, metal clanks, revving engines, and shouting mechanics. The air was thick with oil and frustration. It didn't take long for James to spot Greg, a senior mechanic in his late 50s, with a slight limp, sweat-soaked bandana and hands that told stories of decades under hoods. Greg was struggling with a rusted bolt on a customer's brake system. His wrench slipped again, grazing his knuckles. He winced but didn't stop. "Need a hand?" James asked casually. Greg glanced up, annoyed but too tired to argue. "If you can find a tool around here that isn't from the Stone Age, be my guest." James looked through the toolbox. The tools were worn down, most handles cracked, some unsafe. One jack had a handwritten warning, "Leaks, use at your own risk." As they worked together, Greg opened up. "You know, this place wasn't always like this," he muttered. "When I started 20 years ago, we had pride. Now, we're invisible. They only see profits, not people." James felt a knot in his stomach. Every complaint he'd read suddenly had a face. These weren't lazy workers. These were loyal, skilled mechanics stuck with broken equipment and no voice. The breaking point came that afternoon, when a younger mechanic named Eli nearly got crushed by a collapsing car jack. Everyone rushed in, and luckily he rolled out in time. No injuries, but the silence that followed was heavy. James quietly pulled out his phone and snapped a photo of the jack. That night, he sat in his hotel room staring at the image. His company's name was printed right on it, and beneath it, dried oil and a crack in the frame. He didn't sleep that night. Tomorrow, he would return to the same garage, but this time, not as Jim. The next morning, the garage buzzed as usual. Coffee in stained mugs, hoods open, wrenches clinking. But something was different. James Turner arrived, not in jeans and a hoodie, but in a tailored navy suit and polished shoes. His presence made the room go still. Greg looked up from under a car, confused. His eyes narrowed. "Jim." James offered a slight smile. "Actually, it's James Turner, CEO of Turner Auto Works." The entire crew froze. Hushed whispers followed. "No way. You're kidding." James raised his hand gently. "I know this is a shock, but I came here pretending to be one of you because I needed to see the truth myself. Not a filtered report, not a corporate summary. Reality." He stepped closer to the same jack that had nearly crushed Eli. "What I saw here disturbed me. The conditions you work under are unacceptable, and I take full responsibility for that." Greg stared at him, disbelief written across his face. The crew waited, uncertain of what this meant. James continued, voice steady but emotional. "You're the backbone of this company, and we've failed you. That ends today." He pulled out a printed folder and placed it on the counter. "Effective immediately. Every Turner Auto Works garage will receive brand new tools, hydraulic equipment, and safety kits. I've approved a 7-figure budget for this overhaul." The car's room remained quiet. He added, We're also launching an internal system where any employee can report unsafe conditions directly to my office. No managers, no filters. Eli, the young mechanic who'd nearly been injured, raised his hand timidly. "Sir, why did you do this undercover?" James looked around the room. "Because if I walked in here as a CEO, I would have been shown the clean floor, the new equipment, maybe even a few smiles. But I wouldn't have seen Greg struggling with a wrench older than me. I wouldn't have seen a jack that could have ended your life. I wouldn't have earned your truth." Greg stepped forward, eyes moist. "For years, we've been asking. For change, begging. No one listened." "I'm listening now," James replied, "and I won't stop." Silence hung in the air until someone started clapping. Then another, and then the entire room joined in. The applause wasn't just for the tools or safety. It was for being seen, for mattering. After the announcement, James didn't leave. He rolled up his sleeves and helped finish a brake job with Greg, this time with a new, shining wrench. Later that day, Greg pulled him aside. "You know," he said, "when I first met Jim, I thought you'd last 2 hours." James chuckled. "Honestly, I thought the same." Greg added, "But I gotta say, you're the first suit who got his hands dirty." James nodded. "And I won't forget what I learned here. Not ever." As the sun dipped behind the Chicago skyline, the garage looked the same. But something had shifted. The workers stood taller, their voices louder, their eyes brighter. Because one man in a suit chose to listen, to act, and to lead, not from above, but from within.